Hey there. Welcome to Reddit Narratives, where we narrate people's stories. Your narrative companion here. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and if you enjoy, smash that like button. Now, let's dive into today's tale.
Okay, all this one has me struggling. Would appreciate advice perspectives from third parties. Current facts. Been married mostly happily for nearly 15 years, have 2 kids. Past facts. I grew up in a small town in a conservative religious home, so was taught relationships. Sex was intended to be for more serious relationships, marriage. I didn't date anybody while in high school, was choosing to wait to have sex until marriage. I was a charismatic, tall, attractive man by the world standards. Didn't kiss a girl till 19. Met my future wife at end of college, for me and her junior year. We'll call her Katie. She was also from another small town about 10 miles away from me. She came from a good old Midwest farm family. Took her out on a date and we hit it off. It started to become apparent that things were looking like we could be very compatible in our communication, viewpoints, life, goals, etc. She knew my background, including choices I made around relationship sex. We ended up having the conversation around past relationships' sexual partners that I think is fairly common for younger people in their early 20s. She opened up that she'd had one boyfriend, long-term through high school, who broke her heart after they ended her freshman year in college. She learned a lot but was heartbroken, so didn't date anybody for another year trying to get over him, and then dated one other guy seriously in college before I met her junior year. She communicated to me that she had been with those 2 guys, but viewed sex in a manner that it was reserved for only serious relationships. Although she had been having sex with both of them and wasn't trying to wait for marriage like I was okay with this because her views matched up enough with what I was looking for and had been doing myself. I accepted all that information and never brought it up again. Then a few months later, we're at her brother's house, hanging out with a bunch of mutual friends, and a couple of the guys and I are joking around drinking some beers, and one of the guys makes a comment about another friend of mine, John. In the group, we were chilling with having been with my girlfriend. We joked, and I just chalked it up to guys being guys, but it made me wonder, so I simply asked her that night, is there anything I need to know about you and John, being he is a friend of ours, and she said no. That's just them trying to get under your skin, so I shrugged it off. I ended up proposing later that fall. Then, a few months later, another one of my friends tells me that he's surprised that Katie and I hang out with Scott, a different friend of mine, and hers being he is pretty sure Scott and my now fiancé used to hook up. So now, my natural alarm bells as a guy go off more, as this is the second individual that has been brought up to me by another friend who wanted me to not be unaware that was not originally what my wife had disclosed. This time, I went home in a very calm manner the next day, as I was staying at my friend's place on a trip, and asked my fiancée if we could chat and if she would like to open up in any more depth about any other individuals she had not disclosed previously. She didn't, and then I specifically asked what about Scott, as he is our friend, and I don't want to be interacting in a room full of other guys specifically in my circle of friends, and be the only one who doesn't know, as this makes me feel disrespected, out of the loop, especially when jokes have now been made like guys can notoriously do. She told me nothing happened and didn't wanna open up about it. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach for the first time in my relationship and dating life that I was being directly lied to, but she played it off in a way where I didn't want to push it, so I let it go, never brought up again. We go on to get married, have a pretty dang happy life together. Fast forward to current day. We're chatting/joking like married couples do, and we're talking about things that are sexually related, specifically talking about a man's size, as there was some men's health article on average size, etc. I am bigger than average and have always had to be careful with my wife to warm her up. Side note. Now, I will say we had had a few rocky times as of late. That is not uncommon with couples to go through, even ones that are happily married. Apparently, she was mad at me at that moment, but I didn't know, 'cause, well, I guess I am clueless dude. All of a sudden, out of nowhere in this conversation about the Men's Health article and average size and how I am different, she just blurts out looking at me with some spite in her eyes and says, "Well, you should know you're not my biggest D I've ever been with, so don't be too proud of yourself." This caught me by surprise, both in why she was saying it and because that was totally news to me. She had self-volunteered to me previously in my relationship with her over the last 15 years that was a title that I had held. I never asked FYI. So I just stood there in the bathroom, flabbergasted. I bring it up to her a couple days later and say we need to talk, real talk. She explains to me that, yes, she had slept with my friend and goes on to say he stretched her out in a way I never have, with his girthy D. Ouch. I'm stunned that my wife is saying this to me. Worse, that it's in relation to something she's lied to me about in the past, and to boot, it's with my current friend. Not just some random guy from the past I don't know. The next couple of months were a blur. We had more conversations than I would like to ever remember. She kept lying even then. I go on to learn that she didn't lose her virginity to her high school boyfriend her senior year. It was at age 14 to a different friend of mine named Chris. Then slept with John at 15, my other friend, who she had lied about originally when the guys joked about it at the college party to me. They weren't dating at all. He just made advances. Then she fooled around with my other friend Mike at 16. Then she finally started dating her longtime high school boyfriend. Then come to find out after she broke up with him, that is when she slept with my other friend I discussed above Scott. He just made a move on her one day. She wasn't drinking or anything, and she obliged. No amking out first, just right to sex 5 minutes after he shot his first shot. Then was just a friends with benefits for a few weeks till she broke it off because she felt bad. That's the one who she bragged about stretching her out in the way I never have. In summary, all in all, I have found out that I've been lied to from the beginning of my relationship because she wanted me to pick her, and she felt shameful about giving up to people easily and knew I had done the opposite. The truth had come out about her lying 2 different times with 2 different friends of ours while we were dating, and then engaged, but she kept lying to me even when asked to just tell me the truth. I'm at a loss. She's a good woman otherwise, and I know that. She says she never wanted to tell me the truth because she knows I wouldn't have married her, and she was deeply ashamed of her past by starting to have sex in a very young age, and the one-night stands and fling she had with people that were dating her in high school. She wanted me to pick her, and she was falling in love with me. I get it. I was falling in love with her, but I also feel like I was falling in love with part of the image she created of herself at the end, who believed she was, and how she had carried herself as a woman in our small-town community. I didn't do those things. Not that they are even bad. It's bad to pretend you're something you're not to a person who you know cares. It was important for me to find someone that was at least similar to me. To be clear, I didn't have the views that I needed to find some virgin girl, but I did want a woman who wanted to be honest with me and at least treated sex as if it was meant for more serious relationships, as that's what I was doing. If she had just come out and asked me to forgive her for actively lying and deceiving me, even though it wasn't ideal that I'm now married to a woman who multiple friends of mine have slept, which guys don't prefer, it is very tough to overlook this. I likely would have forgiven her. But the fact that she was intentional with the lying, trying to hurt me with that information and emasculate me at the same time, has made it almost impossible for me to move forward with her. It's been over 18 months since all the truth has finally come out, and I'd be lying to say that it doesn't still bother me tremendously. I moved her into a condo this spring, and we're separated. Nothing official yet, but I'm seriously considering just ending it. It's tough because she's a wonderful woman, outside of the lying, and a great mother. I believe I have forgiven her for the lying, but trying to forget and move forward and build back trust that was never there from the beginning because the intentional deception went all the way back to the beginning of our relationship. Also, for those of you who might think I might care about the numbers, I think numbers can matter to an extent to each of our views and what you portray yourself as. But to put it in perspective, since we've been separated, I communicated to her. I'm going to see other women, and I've now been with plenty of other women who have had 10, 20 times the amount of people she has slept with, and I don't give a crap about that. I am grown man and have self-confidence, and we all have plenty of experience now in our 30s. She is desperate to save our relationship, willing to do anything. Says she said the stuff that she said to emasculate me was because she was jealous of the attention I get from other women and had never felt good enough for me to start, etc. We have had a wonderful sex life and life for the most part, and she is right, it is good. I know now that even more since my experiences. I know she will make another man happy as she is a good woman. I just don't know if it can be me. I don't know if this can be repaired and trust built for first time or again. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. Had to get off my chest and wondering if people think this repairable or rebuildable or to just move on.